All right. Huge news yesterday from Eddie Hearn, the $1 billion streaming deal that he has now with the company called DAZN, streaming service that is big, I believe, in Europe, Japan. Uh, Canada also uses that streaming service as well. Hasn't been used in the U.S., and now it's going to be available to United States customers, the streaming service. And I'm not sure how it's going to work. I'm not sure if it's going to be an app or if it's going to be a website. I'm not 110% familiar with how the service works, and if anyone can give me some information on that has used it, or that it's available too, if it's available in your market, let me know, because I'm not 100% sure how it works. I know it's been compared to Netflix, so I'm assuming maybe it will be in an app form. How does this impact the sport of boxing? Obviously, competition is good. It makes other people that are involved in the industry work harder, because they know that someone else has a lot of money that they can use to attract a lot of fighters. And there are a lot of fighters out there that do not have promoters. So will this lure them into a promotional contract with Eddie Hearn? And will Eddie Hearn be able to put high quality matchups on this streaming service that will make HBO and Showtime and ESPN step up their game? Because HBO and Showtime and ESPN do have some good cards scheduled in the future. I know Showtime has been killing it lately. A lot of the PBC fighters that have fought on Showtime, they've been in some pretty good matchups as of late. But you have to ask yourself, with Eddie Hearn, who's doing well over in the UK, besides Anthony Joshua, Tony Bellew, what other big names? Oh, and Kell Brook as well, and Amir Khan. That could be a super matchup. But when you look at the PBC, although they may not have maximized their potential in a lot of people's opinions, they still do have a lot of the superstars of the sport, involved in their entity. So the big question is, it's rumored to cost $20 a month. I don't know if that's been confirmed or not, but Eddie Hearn, hasn't really confirmed that, and the DAZN representatives have not confirmed that, but that seems to be the number that's being thrown around out there. So the question is, are people who already subscribed to Netflix, are people who already subscribed to Hulu, are people who already have a Roku, people who are on Amazon Prime TV, people who have Apple TV, people who have cable subscriptions, are they going to be willing to shell out another $20 a month for 16 boxing events that are supposedly going to be staged in the United States? And I believe also that the 16 UK events will be shown on this streaming service as well. So I think the big caveat here is, will this be overkill? Because I know a lot of people are comparing this to the PBC, but the one glaring difference here is the PBC did not ask you to pay anything extra than what you were already paying. So they were using networks that were already out there, free television networks. Most people already do have a subscription to Showtime and HBO. So, and most people have already had ESPN. They already had Fox. They already had all those channels anyways. So the PBC was just using, outlets that people already were using and they had available to them. So now you're asking people to pay another $20 out of their pockets on top of what they're already paying, regardless of what streaming services that they already subscribe to. And, even if you don't have cable, a lot of people do have Netflix, they'll have Amazon, they'll have Hulu, and HBO and Showtime are available without cable now. So it's not like you have to have cable to have HBO and Showtime. And people that do buy HBO and Showtime, like myself, I love HBO and Showtime for the boxing, but I also watch a lot of individualized series that are specific. And I know Netflix has their own series that are just, exclusive to that platform, as well as HBO and Showtime have similar shows as well that are just exclusive to like Game of Thrones, obviously with HBO, and Showtime has like Ray Donovan. They have Clueless. They have a couple other shows, a couple other action mystery type shows that people watch on Showtime. So the big thing is what is the DAZN going to bring to the table? Like how are they going to change up boxing? How are they going to enhance boxing? What type of matchups are going to be shown on this streaming service? Are we going to get those mega matchups? Because Eddie Hearn still does have that deal with Sky where he does put on pay-per-view events. So I know he spoke with, or not spoke, but he mentioned about how Anthony Joshua could be lured onto this platform, and how's that going to affect his deal with Sky? So there's a lot of moving parts here that really aren't being addressed, because all these Al Haymon fighters do not have promoters. That's true. But what is their deal with PBC? I know Al Haymon is not a promoter, but they do have contracts with Al Haymon. And how are those contracts structured? Do those contracts allow them to fight wherever they want and on whatever network they want? I know you have the Muhammad Ali Act, and I know how Al Haymon's worked his way around that by using promoters and such. But how much control does Al Haymon have over these fighters' careers, because they're listed as PBC fighters? And I don't know about all the legal situations that they have and how that PBC deal with these fighters are structured. They don't have promoters, they're free agents, but they are listed on the PBC website as PBC fighters. So because they are PBC fighters, do they have some sort of agreement with PBC, regardless of Al Haymon's role in the company? Obviously, he's the creator of it. I'm sure he's the CEO of the company, probably. I mean, it's his company, it's his brand. So how much of an impact and how much control does Al Haymon really have over these fighters' controls? Is Bob Arum going to just let his fighters fight on this platform? Is Golden Boy going to do that? Fighters that are already signed to HBO, are they going to be allowed to be on the DAZN? I know that Danny Jacobs has a deal with HBO, and I believe Eddie Hearn said that he's not going to be available to fight on this streaming service until his contract with HBO is up. So I don't know the situation with these PBC fighters. I don't know how much freedom they have to just go and do whatever they want. That's a big question that's not being answered here. You can sit there and say they don't have promoters, but they are part of a platform. They are listed as PBC fighters. So that's something that has to be looked into and has to be asked. So how many fighters are going to be available to fight on this platform, number one? And number two, Eddie Hearn has mentioned that he's going to be signing some U.S. fighters, but who are they? How many of them is he going to sign, and how much of an impact will that have on this streaming service? So that's the big question. I know Eddie Hearn said there's going to be other sports shown on the streaming service, but until we really know, the quality of fights we're going to get, I want to be optimistic. I want to give them the benefit of the doubt, but just think about it. The market is already oversaturated. You have so many avenues out there to watch boxing. I think the only benefit for this would be for me is being able to watch the UK fights that I don't have access to, that I'm not available to. I was able to watch Tony Bellew, David Haye on my Roku. I have AWE on my Roku. I don't have it with my cable subscriber because they do not carry that channel. But for $2 a month, I purchased the AWE channel. and also HBO and Showtime and ESPN Plus. ESPN Plus is $5. I've seen HBO and Showtime as low as $10 with streaming services like Hulu, Netflix, or Amazon Prime TV or whatever. So they're still less than this streaming service, DAZN. So the price point is going to be very important. If the $20 is a solid number and you're asking me to just pay $20 to watch boxing, 32 fights, is that going to be worth it for me when I'm already subscribed to HBO and Showtime and I can watch boxing as well as Game of Thrones, as well as Ray Donovan, as well as Homeland, all these shows that I like, Billions, and I do watch the movies every now and then. So you're asking me to pay $20 just for boxing, whereas I can get boxing plus my entertainment with these other subscription services and Netflix as well. So when I buy Netflix, I can watch specific shows that only Netflix carries. A lot of these Marvel series, Daredevil, The Defenders, Luke Cage. I like to watch that stuff. A lot of the comedy shows that are just exclusive to Netflix. So Eddie Hearn is really going to have to come up with some killer matchups that I cannot get on these other services for me to want to pay $20 a month additionally for more boxing. And another thing to consider here too is a lot of these fights are being streamed illegally and people aren't paying for them. And people are still finding ways to show these fights on YouTube, and they're still finding ways to show these fights on Facebook. Whereas HBO and Showtime, a lot of people already have those channels, and on a Saturday night they're going to be channel surfing or whatever, and they'll run into the boxing, and whether they watch the whole telecast or they watch 15-20 minutes, that's still a hit for HBO and Showtime. So that's the thing. The big thing is the price point, the quality of the matchups, and how is this going to affect other fighters' deals and other fighters' situations where they're already signed to a network, they're already signed to a promoter, and we still don't know the terms of the PBC deals with these fighters have with Al Heyman and how much control he does have over their careers. Even though he is an advisor, he's not a promoter. But how much control does he have? Like, does he have? Can he dictate who these guys fight? Obviously, they can say no to a matchup that is proposed to them, but how does that affect the future with their PBC agreement? How does that affect? Can they just sit there and say, I'm going to sever ties with PBC and I'm going to go over to this streaming service and be an exclusive Eddie Hearn fighter, or I'm going to be an exclusive DAZN fighter? So the positives here is we have another avenue for fighters to go down where they can be shown to the mainstream public out there, where they could be shown in markets that they weren't shown before. That's a positive. Another positive is 32 shows. That's a lot of boxing. If you're a boxing fan, you're going to be able to watch 32 more shows. But are these going to be the quality of matchups that you're going to be willing to pay a streaming service for? That's what you have to ask yourself. Because PBC, they didn't ask us to pay anything extra. PBC, whether you loved or hated them, I think there's been some positives and some negatives with PBC. I think this year PBC has done very well. Although a lot of their fights are on Showtime, I've had Showtime for the last 20 years of my life, so it's not like I care about having to pay for Showtime. Showtime, I think I pay because in my package, I think I pay like $8 for Showtime. I'm not worried about that. So I'm already watching Showtime regardless. And even if boxing wasn't on there, boxing is the main reason why I do have Showtime. But I think I would probably still have it because I do watch enough of the other shows that I would, it would warrant me to pay for it. But at the end of the day, you have to ask yourself, is it going to be worth it to pay this $20 a month if that's the price? And also, too, is if it is an app, will it be available on smart TVs? I know a lot of people have Chromecast or they have Apple TV where they could cast it to their television set, but not everyone does have Chromecast. You'd be surprised. Not everyone does have Apple TV. But a lot of people do have the smart TVs. And the smart TVs do have Hulu, they have Netflix. And again, with Hulu, you could subscribe to HBO. With Amazon, you could subscribe to HBO and Showtime and all those channels. Will this be a specific, like I said, will this be a specific app where people can have it downloaded on their smart TV, and will they be able to watch it on regular? I'm sure they'll be able to watch it on regular TV if they have the Chromecast or if they have the Apple TV. But what about people who don't have Apple TV and they don't have Chromecast? Will they be able to have this available via an app on their smart television? That's another question that needs to be answered, and I'm sure it will be answered. So that's the big thing, The beautiful thing about it is it's a streaming service. You can take it wherever you want, no matter where you are. You can pop open your tablet, you can pop open your smartphone, and you could be at the gym on a treadmill, and you can be watching a fight. That's beautiful. 32 more fights, that's beautiful too. 32 more fights is awesome. It's more boxing if you're a boxing fan. The amount of boxing that you're given, obviously that's a plus for you. The more fights, the better for you. But I think, again, the big glaring caveat here is, are the quality of these matchups going to be worth me spending an extra $20 a month on top of my other subscription services that I'm paying for? That's a big question. Hopefully you guys can answer that question for me. In your opinion, I'd like to hear what you guys think, if it's going to be worth it in the long run. But there's just so much we don't know right now. I'm just trying to kind of forecast and just give my opinion and kind of just look at it on the surface right now based upon what I know right now. And we'll have to see. We'll have to see, because this thing rolls out in June. Let's see what fighters are going to be signed to match them. Let's see what Eddie Hearn is going to do for the matchups, what types of fights we're going to get. There's a big question mark. There's a lot of questions that need to be answered, and hopefully Eddie Hearn will be answering these questions in the coming weeks. All right, until next time, Beeb is out. Talk to y'all soon. Peace. Have a great day.